Hello, welcome to the Learning Tree Book Club monthly membership. Together. First Saturdays from 2 to 3 p.m. Central Time. And I'm Meredith McGee. I'm a founding member of the Learning Tree Book Club and also the chair of the library. Everybody else can tell who you
Yes,
are.
hello. I'm Vicki Jenkins, and I am the co-chair of the Learning Tree Book Club, one of the founding members.
I'm Lynette Stafford. I'm a member.
My name's Harry Chia, and I'm 6 years old, and I'm going to the second grade.
Oh,
I am Clarence Gong, and I am 12 years old, and I go to St. John.
okay.
My name is Sherry Gong. I am 10 years old in the 5th grade, and I attend Sister Thea Bowman.
Okay, very good. And Clarence,
Very good.
you gonna start us out?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on, let me share it first. Let me Okay, go ahead, Clarence.
The name of my story is The Big What If.
Big what if? All
Yes, ma'am.
right.
Think. Austin said to himself. The beach was empty. He stood near a live dolphin caught on the sand. The dolphin's right eye gazed at him. It was a nice eye, friendly even. The dolphin didn't appear to be injured. It just seems to be tired and struggling to get back to the water. If I leave, you are doomed, he said. Doomed was a word um, from the What If game he had played with his friend. What if the North Pole melted and the ocean came up and Brooklyn was doomed? What would you do? Austin. Austin was good at what if. He always started with whatever was right in front of him. He looked around. The tide was still going out. The waves were breaking 100 feet away. Dolphins were needed to stay wet. Austin emptied his bucket into the sand and spilled his treasures of the day. A watch, a triple barb hook, and a $50 and a metal shaft from a fishing spear and a few shells. I'll be right back, he told the dolphin. He ran down to the water and ran back with a bucket full of seawater. After 7 trips, the dolphin's skin was wet again. Austin sat in the sand. How long can you stay here? He knew the dolphin didn't understand, but he also knew that dolphins were smart and liked to talk to each other. How long could I stay here? His mom would be looking. His mom would be looking for him around supper time. That was just 2 hours away. In all the times they played What If, Austin and his friends had never imagined a dolphin washing ashore on Britain Beach. No dolphins had been spotted near the community for years. Austin had never seen one. What are you doing here? He asked the dolphin. He crawled forward and touched the dolphin's skin. I hoped it wasn't injured. Dark clouds were rolling in. Don't get desperate, he told the dolphin. If it rains, it'll be good for the both of us. Austin imagined catching rainwater in his bucket. If there's lightning, it won't be so good. He didn't want to imagine what would have happened if a terrible storm broke. A gang of seagulls hovered over the dolphin. Get! Austin shouted. His voice was determined. Two of his friends liked to invent what if about buzzards. They'd say, "You broke both your legs falling from a horse in the desert. You're desperate. You drank the last of your water hours ago. The buzzards are circling." "Are you okay?" Austin asked the dolphin, but he didn't see any cuts or blood. But the dolphin's skin was getting dry again. The water was no closer than before. "We've got a long wait for the tide," he said. Even if you're not injured, Austin. Even if you're not injured. Austin's stomach rumbled. He imagined his mom being too worried about where he was. He picked up the bucket and the broken spear shaft and went for more water. He stuck the shaft into sand near the water's edge and to measure the tide. "My mom would never call the police first," Austin said out loud. The lights of the apartment buildings were going on. She'd ask around if anybody saw me. The spear shaft was partly underwater. "Tide's coming up," he said. "What if," he started, "I came by this beach on my way home from Marco's house and found you? What if my mom and my friends had to figure out where I was? Did I leave any clues behind?" And it started to rain. The waves were breaking closer now. The tide was rising fast. With each breaking wave, it slid farther up the beach. The foam was only 10 feet away from the dolphin when Austin heard his name. It was unmistakable. "Austin!" of his mother. Then he heard a chorus of voices that could only come from his friends. The water lapped closer. "Over here," he called out. His friends reached him. They hovered in a circle around the dolphin. "Boy, you scared me. You scared the living daylights out of me," said his mother as she reached him. She hugged Austin hard. "I couldn't leave him," Austin said. He turned around to check on the dolphin and shouted, "Oh no, the tide is going out again." The tide had stopped rising 3 feet away. "This is a big what if," he said. "Dig!" Austin shouted. "What?" "You'll see. I have the whole process worked out in my head," Austin said. "First, we need to dig out a canal for him." They all fell to their knees and dug like dogs. Sand flew in different directions.
Can you
The
show us
ditch
the
was
picture,
filling with-
Clara?
Ma'am?
You hold the picture up. Oh, okay.
The ditch was filling with water. "Mom, would you would you talk to the dolphin?" Austin's mom looked puzzled for a minute, and she knelt next to the dolphin. Austin heard her murmuring to it. The boy dug a canal right down to the water. Marco kept out the sand that the waves dumped in. Then the others went to work, widening the hole around the dolphin. It was like digging a gigantic moat for a sandcastle. The boys were digging so hard they didn't see the crowd of people gathered. "Quick, turn him. Then we can push him out," said Austin. He sounded desperate. Austin held the dolphin's head.
They took the dolphin out of the sea.
No, ma'am, not yet. They're digging a hole around the dolphin and going into the sea so they can turn the dolphin around to push him out.
Or they trying to push him back to the sea?
Austin held the dolphin's head. The boys crouched down and tried to push. Their feet dug into the sand, but the dolphin did not move. Then one man came out of the crowd who knelt. Two others came forward. The dolphin slid around. It splashed in the shallow canal. Austin tried to keep its nose pointing toward the ocean. The canal was full of people, all lifting and pushing. A big wave broke. Water came roaring up the canal. The dolphin shot forward. The boys fell backwards into the water. Camera flashes went off. The crowd cheered. Austin struggled to his feet. He watched the dolphin swim steadily toward the open sea. The adults staggered out of the water. They were grinning. The boys stayed in the canal, splashing and whooping until Austin's mom finally said, "Boys, let's do a head count. Are we all here?" That Sunday, the boys had a picnic near the spot where where Austin's dolphin had come ashore. They walked along the beach. Marco said, "What if he comes back?" "He won't," Austin said. "Do you remember when I was holding his head just before he got free?" They all nodded. "I told him that he should come ashore to meet me again." I said we'd come out to meet him, and I'll bet we do someday. The end.
Okay, very good. Can you give us a
Story. Good
summary of
story.
the book?
So the summary of the book was about a boy named Austin, and he was someone who was always thinking about and taking his time what's happening and taking it by what goes first, and then starts for his problem before, and he always plays his what if games so that he always knows what's happening, or so that he always plays these what if games, and it's always where you have to find something out about something, and then it's all about like thinking and guessing about what could happen. So then he found a dolphin on the shore, but the tide wasn't high enough and it started raining. The tide got close to the dolphin, but the tide wasn't high enough. So then when his mom and his friends started calling out for him and got worried where he was, they had to work together and build a hole around the dolphin so water could be gathered inside of there. And then the crowd that was gathering around them, they started to help lift the dolphin out. And before the dolphin left, Austin told the dolphin not to go back to the shore again if he wants to meet him, or that instead Austin will go into the water instead.
What was the whole point of the title is the big what if? What was the big what if in that story?
Well, Big What If was all about what if this happened to the dolphin, or what if his parents, friends came. What if instead of it just raining, what if it started storming, or what if he couldn't get the dolphin out? Those were all the big what ifs inside of this story.
Okay. All right, well, very good. Anybody have another question for Claire?
I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed your reading. Have you been to the beach? Have you ever seen a dolphin?
I've never seen a dolphin, but I've been to the beach one time.
I don't even know if I've ever seen a dolphin in person. I don't know. I bet you
I've been deep sea fishing before and saw one around my boat, jumping out of the water.
Oh yeah, where were you deep fishing at?
Destin, Florida.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, you way down south. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so thank you so much, Clarence, for that story. Now, what grade you going? You in the 7th grade? And who's reading next? It's Cherry.
Okay, I'll read. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Is Harry gonna read last?
Now we're gonna let the children read first, and then the adults are gonna read.
Is Harry going to read last?
Now he gonna be the last child to read. Then the adults gonna read.
Okay.
So Cherish, are you next?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And hold up the book.
The name of my book is Slacker.
Slacker.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
Hammer boxer. It was ill. Ill being a good thing for it to be. The basement was dim. The couch was soft and comfortable, perfectly molded to the contours of my butt, but the thousands of hours I'd spent on it. And the aliens coming out of the smoldering wreckage of the mothership were dazed and slow, ripe for the blasting. It was a moment to savor, but there was no time for savoring. The controller was an extension on my hand as I took aim and fired. My friends Pavel and Chuck had my back, and also this guy Borje, who was in Malmo, Sweden. Their voices rang out through my headset. We were a tight-knit team, even though the Pavel was playing from three doors down, Chuck from 2 blocks over, and Borje a distance of 5,000 miles away. The aliens were shouting too, but they didn't seem to be as organized as we were, and definitely not as dedicated. I heard another voice, my mother's, coming from upstairs. I ignored it. Nothing that happened on Earth can be more important right now. The basement lights began to flash on and off. Now, that annoyed me. With great effort, I had created a cave-like atmosphere ideal for gaming. And here was Mom, standing outside the cave, flicking a switch and ruining my concentration. What? I hollered, my finger tapping the Y controller, which created a steady push of omega radiation that the extraterrestrials were especially sensitive to. Another thing my mother didn't understand, what was not a real question. What meant I'm busy or do not disturb me, or even go shout at someone else who isn't involved in the life and death struggle with 7-foot insects. She said something about having to go out, ziti in the oven in 10 minutes. What I heard was blah, 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 blah. Seriously, if she was going to be back in 10 minutes, why do I have to know about this at all? I had an alien hit squad on my tail. I focused on the screen, trying to peer through the burning extraterrestrial atmosphere. Suddenly, a voice eerily like Darth Vader's announced, "Cover me while I plant the heaven neutron seed." Chuck was the first to panic. "Cam, did you hear that? It's him." "Yeah, but which one is he?" Pavel added desperately. Borje was babbling excitedly, but when he got too aimed up, he switched to Swedish. He said he wasn't much help. I stared at the hideous aliens on the screen with their armored, insectic bodies, undulating antennae, and cold, hooded eyes. It was impossible to tell which was being manipulated by the owner of that deep voice. I screamed one word, "Attack!" And we did, blasting away with lasers, distributors, and antimatter grenades. And I even threw rocks. It had to be the most intense battle we've ever fought. It raged on and on and on. People had to leave to eat dinner, and Borges' dad caught him and made him go to bed. It was just me and Chuck against a lone enemy, holed up in the wreckage of his escape pod. We had him cornered, but you couldn't tell. He couldn't tell by the way he was firing at us through a breach in the strontium field. "You'll never reach me in here," the deep voice leered. Of course, we should have expected that the last alien standing would be him. The gamer with the Darth Vader voice synthesizer had been stalking me online first, foiling my Normandy invasions, sacking my quarterbacks, forcing my chariots out of the Circus Maximus, and battering me with steel chairs in extreme wrestling matches. I didn't even know the guy's name, not his real one. Anyway, he went by his gamer tag, Evil McKill People of Toronto, Canada, my arch nemesis. What are we going to do, Cam? Chuck was losing his nerve. We can't blast through the strontium. Aim for the breach, I advised. But he's aiming at us. Oh, hi, Mom. Dinner time already? Do not put down the controller, I ordered. We've got him outnumbered. The next voice I heard wasn't Chuck's or Darth Vader's. It seemed to be coming from outside. What was it saying? I raised the headphones from my ears. This is the Sycamore Fire Department. Is there anybody in the house? Well, that had to be the stupidest question ever asked. Of course I was in the house. Why did the fire department want to know that? Without putting down the controller, I got up, ran to the high windows, yanked away the pillow I jammed there for extra darkness, and peered outside. All I could see were fire engines and guys in heavy red raincoats and rubber boots. What? I exclaimed aloud, and this time it didn't mean do not disturb or I'm busy. It meant, why is the entire Sycamore Fire Department parked on our lawn? An enormous crash shook the foundation of the house. Heavy running footfalls sounded upstairs. A moment later, the basement door was flung wide open. One of those giant raincoats appeared on the stairs, enveloped in a thick cloud of smoke. Kid, what are you doing here? He barked. I'm finally gonna beat Evil McPeople. Evil McKill People. I yelled back. Your house is on fire. He shoved me upstairs, the controller still clutched in my hand. By that time, another firefighter had invaded the kitchen and found the baked ziti, a cold, black, charred lump of carbon. False alarm, he announced. This casserole burned and the whole house filled with smoke. Neighbor reported it pouring out of the window. He turned to me. Good luck getting that black off the ceiling. My mother's blah, 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 blah came back to me then. Only this time, it sounded more like, I'm making a baked ziti for dinner. Wait 10 minutes and take it out of the oven. That would probably have been about an hour ago. You know, back when our house still had a front door. I'd always wondered why firemen carry axes. Now I knew. I was bound to hear a whole lot of this later tonight. It was definitely going to disturb my lifestyle. Worst of all, when I finally went back down to the basement, the TV screen showed my character lying stone dead on the alien surface. Evil McKill People was standing over him and leering grin on his green lips. Video games were exactly like life, only better. Both followed the laws of cause and effect. You take a turn too fast in a racing game, you'll roll your car. Or in the real world, if you don't hear your mom taking about ziti in the oven, The fire department will bust down your door. It was easy to get in a new race car. That happened with the touch of a button on your controller. Our door, on the other hand, turned out to be non-standard size. Fensterman says it's going to take a month to customize a new one. Raged my father, explain why we now live with a piece of plywood nailed across the front entrance of our house. For the next month, we will have to use the back door. Dad wasn't shouting because he was mad. He was shouting to be heard over the roar of the giant fans that stood all around, blowing out the smoke and burnt smell left over from Ziti. He also happened to be mad at me, just not as mad as Mom. I asked one little thing of you, Karen Boxer, she seethed. One thing, take out the Ziti app and turn off the oven. That's two things, I pointed out. Two things any Oregon could do, no problem, she raged. Of course, he'd swing away from the game for 30 seconds. Now, that bothered me. You know, I said, you and Dad run a furniture store because that is your lifestyle. Video games are my lifestyle. I'm not a big furniture fan, but I don't dump all over it because I respect your lifestyle. My father's eyes bulged. That lifestyle puts food on the table and clothes on your back, and it pays for every video games and the electricity you run them. First prize at Rule the World is $10,000, I reminded them. That was the East Coast Gaming Championship coming up in November. Pable, Chuck, and I were in training. Although I haven't decided yet which of those guys to make as my wingman. We called ourselves the Awesome Threesome, but the rule of world only accepted twosomes. Mom sighed. It's not the money, it's not the dinner, it's not even the house full of smoke and the ruined door. It's a little bit about the door, Dad corrected her. And it'll be a little more if our insurance premium goes up because of this. Mom ignored him. Look at yourself, Cam. You're pale as a ghost. You look like you just got out of prison. The best thing I can say about you or your grades is that you're not failing. You never played a sport. Too sweaty, I interjected. She forged on. Or did drama. Too showy. Or joined a club. Too many strangers. Or participated in a single extracurricular activities. Cam, if you don't have the birth certificate, it would be next to impossible to prove that you even exist. Your only interest is video games. Yes, say it like it was a bad thing. I was proud of my lifestyle. I saw this guy on TV once who said the key to happiness was to find what you love to do and do it. I've lived by the rule for every one of my 13 years. Obviously, I still went to school and flossed and got haircuts and flu shots and all that. Even the TV guy admitted nobody could get away with only the good stuff. But if you could keep the balance and favor of doing what you love, 80 to 20, let's say you could be at least 80% happy, which was still pretty ill. My dad took up the lecture. We're not saying there's anything wrong with video games in moderation, but you don't do anything else. Sooner or later, it's going to cost you the chance to have any kind of life that doesn't come with an avatar on a screen. Not to mention that you're hogging the game system that I bought for the whole family. Your poor sister has to go to her friend's house if she wants to play at all because you're always on ours. Melody's not a serious gamer like me, I defended myself. I'm in training. Doesn't that show initiative and involvement? Dad took a deep breath. Listen up, kid. First of all, we're going to be using the back door for the next month. At that time, you will find something else to be interested besides video games. It can be a sport, it can be a club, It can be anything you want, so long as it involves real human beings and doesn't happen on a screen. I was horrified. But what about the real world? I've been practicing for months. Mom spoke up. We're not taking your games away yet. But we're not kidding, Cameron. Your life is going to change. Is it the ZD? I demanded. It's the ZD, right? When I win the contest, I'll buy you $10,000 worth of ZD. Don't be ridiculous. Your future is more important than the amount of ZD. This is going to happen, Cameron. It's going to happen before we have a real door again. And if it doesn't, you will lose that game system. I staggered back, honestly, like I've been punched. I remembered something else the TV guy had mentioned. There were always going to be people trying to mess up your lifestyle. I've been on guard for those people in my entire life, but I never dreamed they turn out to be my own parents. That was the first 10 pages of the book.
Okay, Sharon, the author named that part Slacker. Well, why did the author name the book Slacker, and was the character a slacker? Did that have anything to do with the name of
Excuse me?
the author named the book Slacker, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I was wondering why the author named the book Slacker, and did the character have a characteristic that they were a slacker? I was trying to understand why that was the name.
The author called the book Slackers because he doesn't like any sports or to do any work. He only likes playing games, eating chips, drinking drinks, and playing with his friends. So they called him a slacker.
Oh, I get it.
Because he doesn't care.
Okay,
And,
anybody
here's the front of the book.
Okay.
He's a beaver.
Oh, okay. Like a couch potato.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from Cherry? Thank you, Cherry. I always enjoy your story.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, Harry, are you ready?
Everyone,
Yes.
Huh?
I have a
ma'am.
question.
Oh no, go ahead, Lynette.
The
I was going
story-
to ask, Chair, do you all play a lot of games? Do you consider yourself a gamer?
No, ma'am. I'm very athletic, so I don't like playing games that much.
Not that much.
Okay.
I don't like playing it at all.
Then why were you playing Roblox?
You play Roblox. You asked for the laptop.
But still okay. The
All
story
right.
I'm reading is the story of Peter.
Hold it up, Harry. Oh, okay, that's Peter. Okay.
Dorcas loved to sew. She especially loved to make clothes for the poor. Dorcas knew that a new dress or a warm coat would make a person feel better about themselves. When Dorcas started feeling sick, her friends tried to get her to slow down, but she kept stitching away. There was always one more person who needed a dress or a coat. Please take some time off and rest, her friends begged, but Dorcas wouldn't. One day, her friends found her dead, with her sewing needle still in her hand. They cried and put perfumes on her body before the funeral. Then someone remembered Peter. Sometimes God helped Peter bring dead people back to life. Let's send for him. He might help Dorcas. When Peter came, he prayed and took Dorcas' hand. Get up, he said. Her eyes fluttered open and breathed smoothly back into and breath swished back into her body. Dorcas uh, sat up alive. Her friends praised God for giving Dorcas back to them. Not long after this, Peter was thrown in prison for teaching about God. The other Catholic Christians worried that Peter might be killed. They held a special prayer meeting just for Peter. A servant named Rhoda prayed for Peter too. She liked the big fisherman-in-law, so she prayed for his safety in the middle of the quiet praise. There was a loud knock on the door. Rhoda tried to ignore it, the knocking, but it got louder and louder. Finally, she went to see who was there. Rhoda, let me in, Peter said. Peter, is that you? She shouted to the others. No one believed her. Maybe it's Peter, Angel. He maybe already be dead. They thought. The knocking on the door turned to pounding, so Rhoda opened the door, opened it wide. Everyone cheered when Peter walked in. God answered your prayers, Peter said. He sent me an angel that led me past the guards and out the prison, free to freedom. Praise God, everyone shouted. The end.
Okay, very good, Helen. Can you tell us a little bit about Peter?
There was a sower that died because she got sick and she was still sowing. She cared for the sick and poor, and one day her friends found her dead, so they called for Peter. Peter healed her and brought her back to life, but Peter got thrown into jail for doing that, for teaching about God. So they prayed and led a prayer for him, and a servant named Rhoda prayed with them. They heard knocking on the door. Rhoda tried to ignore it, but the knocking got louder and louder. So she opened it, and they saw Peter, and everyone was not believing rather. So she opened it wider, and they saw, and they said, "Praise God!" and shouted. They shouted, "Praise God!"
Oh, very good. Any other questions?
Very good, Harry. Very good. That's making me want to go get my Bible and read Peter. Read a bit more.
Yeah. Okay, so Lynette, you going next?
Okay, I'm just gonna read about 3 or 4 pages.
Okay.
Look at me. Now, his name is Neil, and I think it's DeGrasse. If I'm not correct, somebody fix it for me. Tyson, A Life Among the Stars. And because of this book, he looked up the plant. See, we had a planetarium in Mississippi, and I found out that the planetarium in Jackson is one of the better ones in the country. So as Trey calls it, the sickness. When the sickness is over, we're going to go to the planetarium. That was a trip we had planned for this year. Look up with me. One thing I tell my grandbabies, when you look up and see the stars, those are kisses. I'm sending you kisses. So even when I'm not there, if you look up and see some stars, that's me sending him some kisses. Most grown-ups have forgotten what it was like to be a kid. Some don't remember on purpose, hurrying life along as fast as they can. For others, memories of being a kid simply faded from view. I'm a full-grown grown-up. In fact, I'm so grown up that I have grown up kids of my own, but I still feel like a kid. I felt like a kid my entire life. Why? Because I'm a scientist. Scientists are kids who never lost their natural childhood curiosity about the world. Kids who lose their curiosity usually around middle school become normal adults, but kids who retain that curiosity eventually become scientists, either in their hearts or in their professions. So even as you grow older, never stop being a kid. This will guarantee that the world, even the universe itself, becomes and remains your playground of curiosity. Neil deGrasse Tyson, astrophysicist, New York City. On an autumn afternoon in 1958, in the city of New York, on the third planet out from the sun in the Milky Way galaxy, a little baby boy was born. So what planet is he talking about? What planet was the little baby boy born on?
I'm not sure. Which planet?
Mars
or the moon? I don't know.
How about Earth?
Oh, okay.
DeGrasse Tyson opened his eyes, and there it was, the universe, waiting to be discovered. So he was born with a curiosity to find out and figure out what is going on. Oh, that's him as a baby.
What you say?
I was saying, see that tells us that we didn't pay attention in school. They said what planet? We didn't realize the planet Earth. We didn't pay attention in school.
We paid attention. We may just have forgotten, or we may have just been teasing. But those are shadows of his parents looking over their baby boy. At first, Neil's world was small. His building blocks and little books, his yo-yo and gyroscope. During the days, Neil went to school, to the park, to museums. At night, he looked out the window of his apartment building and saw other buildings, streets, and streetlights, and here and there, small bits of sky until. So there he is, being very adventurous, standing on top of the furniture.
Okay.
He's looking at it at night, curious. One day, Neil went to New York City's famous Hayden Planetarium. As he sat beneath the high arc of the theater, out went the lights and Shazam! Wowza! Neil's mind was launched into outer space, and in a single instant, his world expanded 100 times, 1,000 times, even more. Projecting on the huge dome above his head was the night sky with countless thousands of stars, a gigantic, spectacular, beautiful cosmos Neil had never knew existed. And in that moment, his life was changed forever.
Okay.
And I remember going to the planetarium as a child. When I read this book, that put me in mind to go to I've been to the planetarium. So that's all I'm going to read, because sometimes all it takes is a little something to spark your curiosity and make you want to study and do a little more research. So what I'll do is I just show the picture. It's a beautiful book.
It sure is a beautiful book.
Yes.
It is. It's beautifully illustrated. So it talks about how he was curious and how he walked dogs to raise money. He didn't wait for people to give him everything. And he worked for what he wanted, some of what he wanted. He earned money to buy some things that he wanted. And said that he would carry his telescope up to the roof of his building so he could see what was happening. And sometimes neighbors would see and would try to figure out, well, who was that on top of that building and what are they doing? So they had called the police a couple of times, and then he explained to them it was a telescope and he showed it to them. And then at only 15, he was invited to give his first astronomy lecture, and he was paid $50, which equaled 100 dog walks, and made him realize he could actually make a living by talking about the universe he loves so much. So if there's something in your heart that you really want to do and you have a passion for it, you can earn a living at it. But they say if you really love what you do, you're not really working.
Well, that's a very good lesson.
And see how he's dreaming, but he dreamed up on a profession. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do to get what you want to get. But he was able to do. He walked those doors so he could get that telescope, so he could advance in his life and do what he wanted to do. He worked as a teacher, a researcher, and a writer. He wrote a magazine column in the made-up character of Merlin, a 5 billion-year-old visitor from a galaxy who answered people questions about astronomy and the cosmos. And then he got the coolest job on Earth for him, the director of the planetarium where he first saw those stars. I think the first time I saw him, he was on a talk show.
Which talk show?
Don't ask me. I don't even remember. I just remember I didn't know him, and I was watching late one night. It could have been Jimmy Kimmel, not Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know. One simple wish Neil has for the future is that all of us, every person on Earth, go outside at night and look up at the moon, the stars, and planets, and think about the fact that we are made of the very same stuff they are, of the stardust atoms of long ago exploding stars, and that we're all part of the very same thing, this amazing, beautiful, spectacular, mind-blowing universe that is our home, that is our world, that is us. All right, the end.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Anybody have any questions to ask Lynette about her story?
Now, who is the author now?
I'm sorry, I didn't say that.
Maybe you
By
did.
Jennifer Burns. No, I didn't. I didn't. That was my fault. I'm sorry.
But
Thank you.
that
By
was by,
Jennifer Burns. Illustrations by, I'll type it in the text, but illustrations by Lorraine Now
Mhm.
and Neil deGrasse Tyson. He wrote the introduction.
okay, all right. Yeah.
Okay. All
Does
right.
he still come
That
on?
really made me
Is he,
excited.
uh-huh. Is he
Go ahead,
still on
ma'am.
TV? Is he still on TV? Public? What was he on? Public? He had a
I
program.
don't know.
Yeah,
I saw him on the talk show.
talk show. Yeah, he used to come on. I don't know whether it was PBS or
That's
what.
when I saw him.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. And we have a new reader. Her name is Chelsea. But before Chelsea comes up, Miss Leader, do you want to read after Chelsea?
Well, I'll just I guess my little nephew didn't get on, or maybe he's hiding, huh?
Yeah, I didn't see him here.
Uh-huh. Okay. He told me he had loaded it before I got, but anyway, I maybe show up, read a few subtitles under some pictures of the book I have after Chelsea.
Okay. Chelsea, are you ready? And thank you so much for coming. And now you're a member of Learning Tree Book Club. That's all you have to do is read with us and be a member.
All right, introduce yourself.
My name is Ashley Smith. I'm in ninth grade. I go to Boyle Elementary. I'm in fourth grade and go to Boyle Elementary. And I'm 9 years old.
Okay. And hold up your book so we can see it. Molly goes. What is it?
To Rome.
Molly goes to Rome. Oh wow.
Written by Chris Oler and illustrated by Amy Hudson Oler. Hi, I'm Molly, and this is my brother Michael. There are so many things in this world to explore. Michael and I asked our parents about food and music. Sometimes what my mom and dad tell us make us want to go there. So we grab our magic suitcase and go. Mom's spaghetti come from Italy, right? Yes, that's right. Dad, why do you use a spoon to eat your spaghetti? Well, sweetie, it's made it a little easier, and I think that's how they eat in Italy. I wonder if what Dad says is true. Italy would be fun. Michael and I could visit time to get the magic suitcase. Are we going to Italy, Molly? That's right. Our meal and what Dad said made me curious. Where do we go in Italy? Let's go to the Rome capital in Rome. We're here. But where do we go? Let's go to the most famous in the Rome, Colosseum. How lot of cars are small. Some of these streets are too. It must be because of they're so old. It's much bigger than in pictures. It's so neat. Too bad it is broken. I got to meet a gladiator, Molly. He was friendly. He called a gladiator Michael, and his job must be to make people happy. That looks fun. What is the game? It's called a Elastico. It's a special game for kids. Hi, I'm Marco. Hi, Marco. I'm Molly, and this is my brother Michael. Elastico is a jumping game. It is lots of fun. There are special places in our city that's called the Pantheon. Pete, does it have a restaurant? It is called that, but I will take you somewhere to eat. This is a piece of soup. Nava pizza soup. Can we eat pizza here? That makes sense, but peaceful mean outdoors market. There are artists and good places to Lido and like that like art screen. Wow, this is great pictures. Thanks. This is a Campo del Foro, and there are many good places to eat. I'll have the spaghetti, please. We say prego grazie, and that means please and thank you. Prego also means you're welcome. I would like to learn to eat spaghetti like you do, Marco. Well, we don't cut the pasta. We spin the forks against the side of the bowl. It sometimes makes really big bites. These are Spanish steps. These fountains is really neat. There are many beautiful fountains in the Rome. Wow, Molly, that's where the Pope lives. He doesn't live in St. Peter Basque, Michael, but this area belongs to the church. It's called the Vatican City. There's are so much to see, Marco. Our cities have a lot of history. It's time for us to go home, Marco. Thanks for showing us your beautiful city. So, show what does that mean? It's me. Bye. It was fun talking to you around Rome. Molly, what are you doing with that spaghetti? I'm eating it in the way they do in Italy. The
Oh,
end.
well, thank you. Because
Thank you.
I didn't know that Italians eat spaghetti with a spoon. So thank you for teaching me something. And can you tell us some other differences between the Italians and us?
We eat ours with a fork, and our cars are not little. And what else? There's
They got gladiators.
they got gladiators. They got a special king called Elasco. And that's all. That's all.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank
now,
you.
Any other questions? Anybody else have a question for Chelsea? Yes,
Do
ma'am.
you like spaghetti and
Yes.
can you cook it?
No.
Not yet, huh?
That's all right. It'll come. It'll come.
Okay, so
It'll be good too.
I know I love it. Well, Lena, you going next?
Okay, I'll just read a few little bylines of the pictures, and I'm happy to be here, and I've enjoyed the students, and they're good readers, and we enjoyed you all. Yeah, really enjoyed you all reading. But I had actually purchased this book for a little niece of mine who's in Alaska, and she loves to read. And I had asked for her to be, I sent Miss McGee, thank you, you sent her the link for but her mother, I talked with her mother, I called her, and she had gone out with some, she probably had another commitment today, so she wasn't at home. But hopefully she'll be on next month, but she loves to read. And by October, they should have moved from, they're in the military up in Alaska. And so by next month, they're gonna be transferring to Texas, Fort Hood. They've lived there before, they've been in Germany, but she loves to read. And I purchased this book for her, but when I got, I didn't really look at it in the bookstore, but it's more or less on Kamala Harris's, how to pronounce it, Kamala Harris's political, I think, career, how she move from one
Oh, it's a
position.
children's
There are
book
some
on
nice
cover.
pictures in there
It's
of
a
her.
children's book on Kamala Harris. Hold it up for me.
Yeah, you see the book, and it has a picture of her when she's younger on the with the little pig. And it's she's the author. It's called The Truths We Hold. But I thought since the picture was of a child, that maybe it would be more or less geared toward her. But I'm sure it probably would have been less pages too. But I didn't open it and really read it. But and she's the author, and and it said it was on the bestseller list. But here's some pictures that maybe the children are interested in. I don't know whether I'm not
That's her
that.
mother and father.
Yeah, her mother and father,
Mhm.
and then she's at the bottom. That's her mother when her mother was in school at Berkeley.
Hold
That's
it up a little more.
okay, can you see that? Her mother was
Hold-
at school in Berkeley.
Oh, okay. I'm
No,
on
raise it up some more. Okay.
You got, and her mother and father met because they were both participating in the civil rights movement there. They were marching there. I think they went to Birmingham. They helped
what
out.
year was that when they was that 65?
Oh, it doesn't show what year when they married, when the mother and father, she came from India. The mother came to go to school at Berkeley, I believe. But she said, my parents met at Berkeley during the civil rights movement, and they were married soon after. And then that, like I said, that bottom picture, and maybe this is a mother holding Kamala, her father for the children. Her father was from the islands. He's from the islands. I believe he's a professor, isn't he, at one of the universities here in America now.
Oh, he's still teaching.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this is Kamala, I believe, yeah, when she was a little baby. He would take her to the island. So she's a top child for the students. And I try to, my little nieces and nephews in Anchorage have that same kind of heritage similar, because their father is from Brooklyn. My niece went into the military and met this boy out in one of these forts where she was. He's from Brooklyn, but his parents are from the islands, one from Dominica, and I forget the other one, but I've tried to find some books. I've been looking for some books so that they would know about their heritage from the islands. And it looks like Kamala's father took her. If you look at, here's another picture, her grandmother's holding it.
Oh.
So he would take her to the islands. And I think that's good. Students, don't you think that's good that you know about your heritage? Maybe your father may be from one part of Mississippi or one part of the United States, or you may not be even living in Mississippi, and then your mother could be from another section, another country now, another country. It's no longer being from another part of the state. We had a young man in my church who went to Africa with the pastor, and he met his wife over there. And so she came over there, married. So these young people are going international now. And we're all people of the diaspora, aren't we? Because we tend to forget, but because of the slave trade, we probably may all have some relatives that were over in the islands, and never made it to America. So we're all children of the diaspora, and that's what she is. But she was taken to the islands to visit her relatives over there, and she is a little sister. Her little sister has come by now, and she knew her. I think this is a picture with her grandpa, with her granddaddy. So that's wonderful that her.
Hold it up.
That's wonderful that her parents made sure that she knew her relatives. That may be something the students do. Is it wonderful to talk with your grandparents and know what that kind of life they've lived, and what type of schools they went to in elementary school, like you were in elementary school. It helps a lot. So she knows a lot. Kamala should know a lot about her history. And she and a little elementary class students like you are. Can you see that? She was the only she might be the only little black girl in the class. And remember when she was in the debates with President-elect Biden, and she said that she was bused. She was bused to school. She was one of the first ones into the school there. And these pictures show her, and her mother and father separated, but apparently she's kept in contact though. But they live, she said they live mostly in California in rental place, and you know, her mother rented a lot, I guess. But she's had a rich history. And then she went, do the students know what college she went to? Have you ever heard of the college where she went?
Where did she go to college?
Do the students know where Kamala went to college? Maybe some of them are thinking about going to that institution. Do they
Have
know?
you all heard of it?
Do you know where
Yeah.
she went to?
Well, let me ask you, do any of y'all know who Kamala Harris is?
Oh, okay. Who is Kamala? Miss Kamala Harris.
Of course.
Okay.
Challenge, do you know who Kamala Harris is?
Okay, well,
She ran for vice president. What did you say?
oh, okay. All right, all right, all right. So here's a little girl who started out just like these little girls with all that potential that you all had. And look what she studied and finished elementary, and like you all are doing so well. And she's gone on to what? She's President-elect Biden's running mate. Yeah. And so she was a little girl studying and reading just like you all.
Yeah, lawyer and a congresswoman.
And so that institution she went to was an HBCU, and she attended.
Oh, she went to Howard. That's right.
Howard University. Yeah.
Yeah, she went to Howard.
And she said when she got there, she never saw so many of us at one time. But you know what? That's similar to my little nieces and nephews in Alaska. There are not a lot of Black children there, and so they're in the minority. So when my little niece, when they visited here a couple of years ago, we treated them to the Black rodeo. And the oldest little girl told her mother, said, I don't know all of these Black people. She said she'd never seen so many Black people together as in the Coliseum down there. But it's good to travel around, and it's good to know that these young people that own this book club today, they may be aspiring for some of these positions. Yeah, she was she was a lawyer in California, and then now she serves in the what? U.S. what?
Congress.
She's in the Congress as a senator. So we looking forward to some of these young people doing some great things. All right.
Yeah,
all right. All right. Okay.
Yeah, and we invite all of y'all to get in the spelling bee and the poetry contest and write your own poem.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, everybody have any questions?
Very interesting. That was very interesting. Thank you.
Yes,
I'm very interested.
I hope that there's a book that will come out that will be smaller and that, more, that will entice them more, because I didn't actually open it before in the bookstore. But I'm sure that somebody will come out with one like they did
right,
Mrs. Obama, and that will inspire our little ones to read it.
Did you have a question, William?
Where's Howard University?
That's in DC, and
DC,
yeah, DC, District of Columbia. Yeah, that's where a lot of it was, and it has a similar history to some of the Black institutions. You know, many of them became in existence right after the Civil War, because many of the people who had been I guess many people thought that was the easiest way to transition from the type of institution that we had come out of. And thank God for the vision and the visionaries, the people who came before us, who had enough vision to know that we have to get together and start these institutions. And that's how many of the Black institutions were started. Even Jackson State and some of these institutions started out as Christian institutions, and where Blacks pooled their money and said, we've got to have our children educated. They saw the future. And that's what we have so much. We're standing on the shoulders of many people who were not necessarily, to our young people, they didn't necessarily receive the benefits of a college education or an education after the 1st or 2nd grade, but they wanted it for others, for you all. And so they saw you coming, and they said, we got to get a little school. We got to get some schools for our children.
Right. Well, thank you so much for that.
All right.
Okay. Now we at the last 10 minutes of the of our meeting, so I think it's only 3 people left, so we would only be able to read one or 2 pages. Did you want to read something, Vicki?
Yeah, I would go with this. We're talking about something that is kind of connected. We were talking about education, and I've got this John Grisham. I'm very much of a fiction, but John Grisham is the author of every mystery, like A Time to Kill, and all other mystery thrillers, which was set in and around Canton, Mississippi. He is from Mississippi, and he was a district attorney. He was a congressman, and he was all kind of law enforcement. But now every book that he writes is about mystery thrillers, law enforcement, detectives, and I'm thinking about where it says lack of education is a stair step to the penitentiary, because you've got to be educated, and it's a stair step to penitentiary. Because if you don't have any kind of education, it's a stair step to the penitentiary. Now,
and John Grisham is the best-selling author in the world.
What now?
John Grisham is the best-selling author in the world.
That's why I was saying, A Time to Kill. Most people don't know any other books or movies of John Grisham is A Time to Kill. That is his, yes. Right. He is the best author in that regard. I won't try to read any of this, but this is another one of his legal thrillers. And I'm a big legal thriller, but this is called The Guardians. But this is also John Grisham. But everything else he writes is a legal thriller, which still impresses upon education. A lack of education is the stair step to the penitentiary. So, and he
wrote about what he knew, because he was a lawyer, a congressman, and he learned all those stories, and he wrote about which people are better writers at writing things that they know about.
That they do.
Yeah, they know about it.
Well, I'm gonna read one paragraph.
I discovered him. I discovered him when I moved to Mississippi, and I'm sitting here looking at a book now that I have of his, a hardback. And Justice Center Stage was getting ready to produce A Time to Kill when coronavirus came in. So hopefully, we'll produce it for this season coming up now.
Oh well, that's good. Invite me, I'll come down.
So, like I said, that was the most notable one, and that was all filmed here in town around Canton, and that's where that film was filmed, around Canton.
Right.
And it was based upon basically a legal incident or a legal case that he did know of. So that's what started here.
Okay, well thanks, Vicki. And
He's my favorite artist. In high school, I read like 90% of his books, from Time to Kill, Pelican Brief, the Jury. I read all of his books. The Chamber. They are all good.
The Chamber.
I got a book on him called The Rooster Bar.
Yeah, you told me to read that one. I got that one too. The Rooster Bar.
Yeah.
The Guardian. I have a few of his books.
That's what I got now, The Guardian.
I've read several.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to read a little bit about, I thought this was a good article. It's in Essence Magazine. And it's boost your bottom line. And normally when you think about bottom line, you think about profit for a business. But this is talking about an individual. It says, want to build a better financial future that can withstand seasonal ups and downs. Focus on your net worth. And of course, we know that Tyler Perry just bought all his land, and he has a studio. And just last week, his net worth increased, and he is now a billionaire. And and just think about it, he was once homeless. And I remember when his
he was homeless. He lived in his car. Yeah.
And came to Jackson, and he went from plays to being a movie producer, and he has all kinds of sitcoms, and of course everybody knows Madea. But anyway, I'm gonna read about one paragraph because I think we only got 5 minutes left. As we face the economic implications of a global pandemic, now is the time to take stock of your finances and create a game plan that will help you weather the storm. And the first step is to get clarity on your own net worth. Your net worth is the sum of what you own, your assets. Your assets could be your book collection, your card stock, your collection of dolls or whatever. Usually a home is the most valuable. Then you have businesses, you have stock and bonds and cash, minus what you own, your student loan debt, what you own your car. And once you know that, they say the net worth, once you know what you're worth, then you can start planning for your finances. And I attached a net worth sheet inside of the chat in case anyone wants to download, or you can do it, you can Google a net worth form and fill it out online, and it'll tabulate it for you immediately. Like the blue book value of your car is normally what you would put for your car as your asset. And let's see, the liabilities are all your debts, your mortgage, car loan, and balances. Building wealth is rarely a linear process, especially in tenuous times. The process begins with the intention and ends with the commitment. No matter the obstacle, no matter how long it takes, with the help we'll put together a 5-step approach. Whether you want to maintain or grow your wealth, follow the strategy of perseverance. Ultimately, okay, so this has been a wonderful session. And also, I wanted to tell you, we have Tuesday, we have another event, which is published my book, and it's a part of the Book Toast speaker series. And it's from 12:30 to 1:30. I know you all will be in school. The next Learning the Truth Book Club meeting is next month, the first Saturday of the month. And also, William Tress's event, he's speaking about populist politicians. I'm speaking Tuesday. He's speaking the following Tuesday, also for 12:30 to 1:30. Lynette, what date is yours on? Is it this month or next month?
October 13th.
Oh, yours is next month. And Malaysia, is yours this month or next month?
September 29th.
Oh, it's okay. It's the last Tuesday in this month. And I wanted to tell you, invite your daughter to be in our, are you elementary school or middle school?
Elementary.
Well, you can get in our spelling contest as well as in the poetry contest, and that's for November. And you can register on Eventbrite. It's the virtual holiday book festival, and we have a poetry contest and a spelling bee. And,
is there a limit on the poetry contest on how old they gotta be?
No, even adults are in the poetry contest.
Okay.
Spelling bee is just for elementary school. Poetry for all ages.
Now, isn't the spelling bee still gonna be up in the Delta in Greenville? Or is it gonna be 2 spellings?
I said something about judges, and so I don't know. We just have to see what Mary says. I mean, what Meredith says.
Okay, because that's what we talked about. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Get a Delta book reference over the a spelling contest. And the net is on that committee. Okay, so it's 3:30. We went live on Facebook on the community library Facebook page. I'm also uploading to YouTube. Can anybody give us their final thought for the day before we end? A final thought about reading.
Read something every day. Read something positive every day.
And what you say, William?
Everybody did a good job today.
It should be. Well, thank you guys, and we'll see you all at the next event, at the next book club meeting.
All right, I enjoyed it.
All right, thank you.
I enjoyed you all. Bye-bye.
See you guys later.
Enjoy
See you
it.
later.
Mhm.